Four classes are remaining, including this, mostly. So you'll be having freedom from me. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. Everyone is on site. Maybe from Monday onwards, I will be coming on site. Oh, it's a super hot in temple room. Oh my God. Okay. Let us see. How many are there on the on-site? Sincere souls are there, I think. Who are those sincere souls? It's 4.
6 devotees are there. 5.
5. Yeah. Who is that? This is. Who are you? This is okay. Ujjwal. You are coming. Okay, we'll finish. In the last class, what you understood. Subhangi Mataji, boliye. Tell. You don't write exams, why? Why don't you write exams?
Prabhuji, it takes a lot of time, Prabhuji, for me to understand. I'm not very qualified, Prabhuji.
You are not able to understand?
No, I understood, Prabhuji, but that realization to reproduce, I'm not able to get it.
Realization, time. It will come by time, but exam you can write.
Yes, Prabhuji, with your blessings.
Whatever you understood, that my blessings already there, but you are not writing. You are saying my blessing. Every teacher wants every student to give nicely exam and get good marks. That's obvious nature actually of any teacher. Okay, no problem. So please explain what you understood in the last class.
Yes, Prabhuji. We started the class by saying that when the senses and false ego dissolves, the one by one, like Mahat dissolves into Prakriti, like that, one by one it gets dissolved.
No, my God, it will not dissolve like that. Like that, everything dissolves, then we will not
go back. It will go back to its original position, rolling, like how it appeared the same way.
That will not happen. That I want to say. This dissolution means it is not like the final dissolution or the devastation time, final devastation time. So everything, the cause is, effect is going and merging into the cause. So that will not happen here. That I was saying. So not like that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we also saw that this body is being witnessed, and Atma, Atma is separate from the body and is the witnesser. For that, we saw 11.3.39 shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, how we are going to establish the difference between soul and the body. So we saw 4 kinds of living entities, which is born of egg, embryo, seed, and sweat. And in all the forms, life, air, or prana follows the soul. That is the word Upadavati shows that from the shloka. Life, air is the same in all the species. In the same way, Tatra, that is what is the word that is referred there. When they become inactive during Prasupta. Correct, Prabhuji? So one consciousness. Atma will be one consciousness. That is, there is no change.
One second, wait. So before explaining the Shushupti, explaining the Jagaravastha, waking state and also in the dreaming state.
Yeah.
So in these
Yes,
two states,
Prabhuji.
what happens? You explain.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
In the waking state, senses, mind, ego, etc. are all active and are connected
Hmm.
with the soul. So different kinds of consciousness is produced because of that, because of the four things that you explained, Prabhuji. There is a
One
connection between,
consciousness appears many. That
yeah,
means
one
one
conscious.
conscious appears many means actually a soul is the original source of the consciousness, or itself is a
Yes,
consciousness, or otherwise it is a possessor of consciousness. Anyone you can say. So
yes,
it's a
different
consciousness
vrittis.
like the sun. Sun is a full of prakasha. It itself is a
Yes,
prakasha and a full of prakasha. It is. It's a place of where all the prakasha is available. So
yes,
like that, soul is actually is chinmatra. That means it's a one type only. Ekatvam, that means
yes.
it's only one type. But now in the waking stage, what happens? This consciousness, what happens? Tell me.
In the waking stage, because they are vrittis of antakarna, atma is not changed, but because of the connection with mind and false ego, it appears
Hmm.
to be changed. But in the dream state, the
What is
impressions,
change? That means this. We think that consciousness is changing, and
yes,
also soul is also changing. So
it appears to
example,
be like that.
it appears,
So
but it is not. So
yes,
example, give example.
you gave two examples, like hit by when we are hit by a motorcycle slightly, we assume that we are dead. So that is not actually true. That
Yeah.
example you gave, and another one seeing a tiger,
Or
assume that we
otherwise,
are.
that is also okay. But when you see your face in the mirror, so that means you are observing your body. So or otherwise in the mirror you are seeing the face, and then we'll be thinking that we are becoming this, that. We say that means sometimes we say I am becoming thin, I am becoming the big, otherwise fatty. So like this we think. But actually here what is
Yes.
happening, this what kind of consciousness at the time you are having? So I am fatty, this kind of consciousness is there. So actually this is not the original consciousness of the soul, but because of the senses, that means because of this soul is touching with this other elements like the false ego, mind, and this. So that's why this is created by these senses only, this by the power of the senses only. This kind of consciousness, this kind of feeling is created. But actually that feeling is a vritti only. It is belonging to only into the antakarna, and that is not the original state of the, that is not the original state of the atma. Atma is not becoming big, or atma is not becoming small. No, it's not the state of the atma, but it is just one vritti in the antakarna. Okay, next.
Then we saw with you explained it in detail, Prabhuji, waking state and dreaming state. We drew soul, false ego, mind, external senses, and external objects. They are all interconnected. In the
Mm.
waking stage, everything, because it's connected, the soul experience various kinds of external objects. But in case
Yes,
of the dreaming stage, there is a
that is a who is
disconnection
the
with,
enjoyer. So the enjoyer is soul only, because
yes,
the consciousness, bhoktrutvam, the whatever consciousness is there in the soul, that consciousness is having the ability of illuminating other things, and also that consciousness itself is having ability of enjoying. It is having ability of enjoying other objects, and also it is having ability of enjoying itself. It is also having ability of illuminating other objects. Also, it is having the ability of illuminating itself. So yeah, carry on.
and then in the case of dreaming state, what happens? There is a disconnection with the external senses and external object. So
Yes,
what happens?
because
And
in the dreaming state, what happens? External senses become inactive. That means off. So that's why external objects are disconnected from this chain. So in that chain, that's total chain. Now since senses are off, so external objects are also disconnected. So then who is remaining active? That's a false ego and the mind.
soul, false ego, and mind. So this
Oh,
three. So mind
yes.
does not get information about the current object. So previous impressions create dreams,
Mind
and
will
those
not get
dreams
the
are,
that means objects which are external to us. But mind, what it can do, it is a storehouse of the various impressions. So that's why by that impressions, So dreams are created. That means in the dreams, many objects are created. And those objects are experienced by the soul now.
And then we saw that in deep sleep, that is Sushupti stage, where there are no dreams at all. In that case, even false ego and mind are also disconnected.
Disconnected
Mind
with the soul.
With
So
the soul,
then,
from the soul, yeah.
Yeah.
And mind is entering into the Puritat Nadi.
Puritat Nadi, it is entering. Yes, that is the mechanism. I didn't explain the in detail, but that is there in the Upanishads actually. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also it is explained. Maybe in the next batch I will explain the complete thing. So this time I am not able to do the completely. So now okay. So the main ultimate thing is in the Shushupti, mind and the false ego both are also disconnected from the soul. So then what happens?
Then we will be experiencing bliss at that stage of
Bliss.
no dream.
Bliss from where?
Bliss, why? Why only one conscious? Because there is no consciousness, no other change in consciousness. Because there is lack of connection with the other objects, external objects.
Happiness only. Just I am blissful. This kind of thing only. So when this kind of feeling we remember, I am blissful. When you get this kind of memory.
So and then there are no upadhis. So in that case, there is no change in the consciousness or subtle body. So
okay.
And then we saw
what happens. Tell me what happens after the waking up from the Sushupti. So what happens? Tell me.
When we wake up from the Sushupti, immediately we feel some sort of a bliss inside. That is because
we feel.
That means after the connection is made, after the connection with the mind is made, we could recall
after the connection is reconnected. That means soul is reconnected back with the false ego and the other things. That means mind and other things. So then what happens at that time, in that moment?
We feel bliss.
We already felt the bliss.
I was blissful. I had good sleep. That is what we will
You will get the memory. What you will be when the soul wake up from the that means when this when the false ego and the mind they comes back and they get connected, they become active. Then what will happen? Immediately soul is connected to the false ego. Then what will happen in that moment, in that sharp moment? The memory is created. Memory is created. One memory is formed. What kind of memory? This much time I was so happy. And this much time means maybe that means whatever the amount of time you slept, that much time. So I was happy. Sukam avapsam. Etavantam kalam sukam aswapsam.
Aswapsam.
Aswapsam nakinchit avedisham. Man, iska arth kya hai? What is the meaning of this?
Etavantam kalam shukam. Till such time I was experiencing bliss.
That much time I was experiencing. I was experiencing. I am not experiencing. I was experiencing the bliss. You will be saying, Etavantam kalam sukam aswapsam. I was experiencing the bliss.
And now
I slept nicely. I slept happily that much time. That means at that time you were experiencing the bliss. But what does you say? Na kinchit avedisham means
I don't know what has happened during my sleep. I don't know anything that has happened.
I don't know what happened in my sleep. That means avedisham means I am not knowing with relative to this external world. So what happened? I don't know. Why this kind of memory is coming? Because in the Sushupti stage, since the soul is not connected to any external objects, so that's why at that time, whatever the experience is happened, that is not with the connection with the external elements. External elements means with the time or with the surroundings and with the objects related to the surrounding. With the reference to that, we cannot relate this. So that's why what you say, nakinchit avedisham. So I don't know what is that.
Yes. And then we saw that unless you have eaten the burger, you cannot recall the taste. So similarly,
ananabhutasya asmaranat. If you didn't experience means you cannot recall also that.
Yes.
Without experiencing, you cannot recall. So that means now you are able to recall. That means I was happy. This kind of recalling is happening here. That means what? What is the meaning of this? This means, so I was happy. This kind of recalling is happening means at the time soul was experiencing itself. At the time, that means there is no void. Actually, there is soul is there and it is also experiencing its own bliss. So that's why now you are recalling.
Yes.
Without experiencing, how you can recall? That's why. And the soul is just to wake up. When the false ego and the mind, when they become active, immediately they are connected. And at that time, whatever the feeling is there in the soul, that is formed as a memory. That is formed as a memory. So from that memory, you are always recalling. That means you can say to the many friends, so I slept very nicely, and I slept very nicely. I was so happy. I was so happy. So like that. So we'll be saying.
Yes, and we
So then
also
what
saw
it is what it is proving?
that Vishaya Sambandha Bhava. That
Means
is
what? In that time, in that state, in the Sushupti state, since there is no connection with the
the
external
time.
objects, so that's why there is no clarity. That means you cannot say exactly what happened at that time with reference to the present situation. Because in the present situation, soul is connected with the external objects. But in that Sushupti, soul is not connected to the external objects. So that's why you cannot correlate with this experience with the existing things. That's why you say na spashtaha, that is not clear. That is not clear means that is not clear with respect to the existing situation, existing things.
And then we saw how the soul can experience itself without externals because it is Svaprakasha Matra. That is, soul is consciousness and is always in full of knowledge. So it does not depend on the other factors for experiencing bliss. It is Upalabdhi. Soul is Upalabdhi. It is a cause for experiencing itself as well as other objects. You gave the example of the sun which
Upalabdhi means
illuminates.
experience. Actually, one another meaning of Upalabdhi is Gnana Matram is one meaning, and also another meaning is experience. Upalabdhi means Anubhava, means experience. So soul is itself is a Upalabdhi means is a Gnana Matram, and also it is Upalabdru. So Upalabdru also, that means it is also the, so since soul is Gnana Matra, what kind of Gnana? That is what kind of Gnana? It is consciousness, or we say which is Gnana, is Gnana means it can illuminate, it illuminate the objects, and also it is enjoyer. It is also enjoy the objects, and also it is not necessary some others help to enjoy itself. It can also enjoy itself. That kind of, so nature is there. Like the sun, example we give. The sun is illuminating the other objects, and also it is
Illuminates
showing
itself.
itself. Sun rays are there. You don't need any another. That means sunlight is there. You don't need any another light to see the sunlight. That itself is illuminating. So same way, soul is cause for the soul is enjoyer. So it is enjoyer of others, and also it is enjoyer of its own.
Yes, that's what we completed yesterday, Prabhuji. With this, we stopped.
Okay, you are writing, but you can write exams also, Mataji. Whatever you are writing on the book, so with that you can write exams also.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. I'm sorry,
Next,
Prabhuji, if I have made any mistakes, Krishna.
Atacha Shruti, now Shruti is saying, Yadvai tanna pashyati, pashyan vai drashtavyat na pashyati, nahi drashtru drushte viparilopo vidyate. This is the just one Brihadaranyaka Upanishad statement. This statement is mentioned. It is taken from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, where the what is the topic? Sushupti is being explained in the topic. In the stage of Sushupti, how the soul looks, that is explained here. In the state of Sushupti, yat vai tan na pashyati. Tan na pashyati means Jivatma never sees. That is, Jivatma doesn't see. Jivatma doesn't see. Tan na pashyati, pashyan vai drashtavyat na pashyati. So it is having, it is looking, it is seeing, sorry, it is seeing, but it is not seeing. It is seeing, but it is not seeing. What is the sloka is there? But for this coming another 6-7 anushyadas are there. So I didn't prepare the somehow, sorry, the notes. So anyway, it is coming other anushyadas are very easy actually. It's a very simple and you can follow the Gopi Prabhu's book and you can get from there. So I'm not going to give any further material. I have another work also. So this much 6 Anuchedas, another coming 6 Anuchedas material you can refer from the from other sources. I will explain this and take the questions. Only one line. Yad vai tanna pashyati, pashyan vai drashtavyat na pashyati. Here, what is the meaning of this? Tat na pashyati. Tat na pashyati means Jivatma doesn't see. Pashyan, that means it is seeing. Drashtavyat na pashyati. Because there is no object to see, that's why it is also not seeing, or it doesn't see. That means in the Sushupti state, what happens? Atma is not seeing. Atma is not seeing, but the Pashyan, but it is seeing. So, but na pashyati means it is not seeing. Since there are no external objects, connected to the Atma, so that's why it is not seen. Drashtavyat na pashyati, that means the object to be seen is not there. So that's why it is not seeing. It doesn't mean that the Atma is not seeing in the state of Sushupti. It doesn't mean that it is not a seer, but or otherwise finished. That's why it is said, Nahi drashtuhu drishtihi drishtehe viparilopa. Atma is a seer. Drashtuhu means of seer. Drishtihi means ability of the seeing. So na viparilopa means he is not lost, he is not finished, he is not destroyed. So that means, of course, in the state of Sushupti, Atma is not seeing the external objects. It doesn't mean that it is not seeing. Who is saying? Upanishad is saying. That means it is seeing. Generally, people may think that so my internet is unstable. My internet is unstable.
Yes, bro.
So, okay, I will do one thing. I will reconnect to my phone. So that's why I will come from next class onwards to the classroom. Yeah, it should be okay now. Since in the Sushupti state, Atma is not seeing the external object, it doesn't mean that it is losing its ability of the seeing, but still it is having the ability of the seeing is there. That is the Upanishad statement, is explaining the total situation. Generally, otherwise people may think that so in the Sushupti state, everything is disconnected. Atma is not really the seer. The seeing ability is there only in the false ego mind and the senses. One may say like that, but that is not correct. Shruti is directly saying, even from our experience also, we understood that Atma is only the seer. Atma is only the witnesser. And Atma is a witnessing. And but what is happening? So in that state, since external objects are not connected, that's why it is not seeing the external object. But it is not seeing, you cannot say. It is seeing itself also. And also it's seeing, it's experiencing itself. And it is illuminating itself. So that's why we are also getting the memory. That means, so etavantam kalam sukam aham aswapsam. So nakinchid avidesham. This kind of experience this kind of memory is created. We are remembering like this means that kind of anubhava we already have. That means we experienced ourselves. Sukam. So we experienced ourselves. So that's why one cannot say that Atma is not the observer. So generally Sankhites, what they think? They say that Purusha is just a dummy person. And everything is seeing and seen, everything is done by the Prakriti only. That kind of explanation they were having. So that's why it is It is rejecting that kind of philosophies, and it is establishing Jivatma is only the observer, is the real seer. So, and he is the witnesser, and the all other things are the witnessed. So this is establishing ayam sakshi saksha vibhagena trutiyas tarkaha. From this we are clearly understanding Atma is separate from the false ego, mind, senses, and the sense objects. So it is clearly different. This is established from this discussion. And also dukkhi premaspadatvat vibhagena chaturdos tarkaha avagantavyaha. So here what is happening? Actually, Atma is itself is very blissful actually. And but what is happening, since it is connected with this senses and other things, external world, through this false ego and mind, it is also suffering. Atma is unnecessarily suffering because of its connection with this external world. But by its alone, so it is not having any kind of the misery, any kind of the pain. So that means by nature it is a blissful, but since in the connection with this external world, it is getting the miseries. So that's why, so we can see Paramatma is also staying in the same heart. So, but he is not connecting himself with these senses, and these senses are not necessary for him to see the things. So, but to see the things in the external world, and this mind and this false ego is also not necessary for him. So that's why he is not connecting with all of these. So he is always in the state of the bliss. But this Atma is connecting with all these, connecting itself with all of these. So that's why it is in the measurable state. So this difference is establishing, and this logic is establishing the difference between the Paramatma and the Atma. Okay, questions? Okay, Vikas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Luckily, you have just explained what I wanted to ask, but still I have got a question on that. So,
Yes, Prabhu.
So Jivatma, Prabhu, when we defined Tattvam, at that time we also said like Jivatma, like as we say that it is pure Jnanam, pure knowledge. It is also, we said Uplabdhi experience, Prabhu. And we also heard from Upanishads that it's also called as Satchit Anand. The nature is bliss.
Yes.
So I am, Prabhu, assuming that when the nature is bliss, which means it is not capable of feeling pain, because that's not its nature, so it will not feel pain, or the pain can't touch it. Now, what I'm trying to understand is that from Paramarthik Satta to Vyavaharik Satta, like where we are getting connected with mind and senses and all that, that's our worldly affair. And Paramarthik Satta, where it is the true identity of the soul. How this is it true, Prabhu, the pain which we go through in life or sufferings actually doesn't go to the actual consciousness or to the Atma, it doesn't touches it? How to understand that it only exists in the body but doesn't touch it?
I'd actually see, since in touch with this modes, this soul is purely Jnanam, that means is a consciousness. And this consciousness is connected to the external world. So at that time, some pain is coming. That pain is experienced by whom? That pain is also experienced by the Atma, because the enjoyer is Atma only. The pain and pleasure are coming because this body is not having any kind of the pain. And other mind, senses, and false ego, they are not having any kind of experience, because those are all jada padartha. They are all inert material. So because being the inert material, they don't have any experience. So whatever experience, the anubhuti is happening to the soul only. But that's why in the future Sandarbhas you'll be seeing in the Paramatma Sandarbha, this topic is even very clearly is elaborately explained. In that we will be seeing that Atma is the only the bhokta, is the enjoyer. So that's why, so that kind of suffering, if it wants to, what is the thing? If it doesn't want to suffer, so what it should do? It should make his consciousness is completely out or disconnected from this external world. So if that is able to do, then it can easily, that means always feel bliss. Otherwise, this sansarga, this touch with this material world. So it will be giving the pain to that only. Is giving the pain to that. So yogis, what they do, the jnanis, especially nishkama karma yogis, they are trying to disconnect their soul from this heart. That means they don't want to allow any vrittis to form in the heart. So that is the technique they play. So then heart is becoming the inactive for these external vishayas. Then what is going to happen? So then there is nothing is coming, and there is no changes are experienced by the soul. So that's why soul is only the enjoyer, and pain or the pleasure, it is enjoyed by the soul.
And just one more thing, Prabhu. So we say Paramatma is the supreme enjoyer of everything.
Yes.
So Paramatma is sitting within the Atma, Jivatma. So then how to understand that whatever activities the body is going, how Paramatma can be the supreme enjoyer if the...
Paramatma is enjoyer means Paramatma is not going to enjoy any pleasure derived by the Jivatma. So by that, no. Actually, Paramatma is enjoyer because of the connection we are seeing. Jivatma is the energy of the Lord himself, and energy is not separate from the energetic one way. So what we are saying, this soul is not completely independent from the Paramatma. It is energy of the Paramatma only. So that's why in this way, even Jivatma enjoy means is nothing but is the part and parcel of the Paramatma. So in that way, indirectly, Paramatma is only the enjoyer. In that sense, we say. It's not that the Paramatma is directly involving in this process. No, he's not involving.
But the pain and the misery which Jivatma goes, that doesn't goes to Paramatma.
He doesn't know. He doesn't have that experience. Whatever the material pain we get, that experience is having the Jivatma. Experience it is having because soul is being a upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means is the experience. So itself is the experience and is also experiencer. So that's why it is getting that pain actually. The pain for property, that means enjoyer means what? It is enjoyer of everything. So it's not that it will enjoy only the sukha, it is not said. And it is enjoying all. And that's why it is getting the different anubhutis through this process. So now this soul, if it wants to so that's why Paramatma is not directly involved in this process, only the soul. But whatever the pain soul is getting, that is not there in the case of this Paramatma. Paramatma is not touched by the material pain. Material pain is not at all experienced by the Lord. So that's why he doesn't have any compassion by seeing the material people, by people who are suffering the material miseries. He doesn't have that pain. Now, if we get corona, and we have the pain of the corona, and that's why by seeing another corona patient, immediately we get the krupa or some mercy on him immediately. But the Lord is not having this kind of experience of the corona, because he doesn't directly touch this disease, will not touch him. Material Maya is not touching with him. So that's why there is no pain, there is no experience of the material pain in the case of the Lord. But he has the knowledge. He has the knowledge. Oh, if this disease means it's painful, that kind of knowledge he is having, but the no experience. If he is experiencing, if you say directly, so then the whole philosophy is gone. But he is experiencing, that means not directly, but Jivatma is the energy of him. Energy is not different from the energetic. In that way, he is experiencing. That you can say.
But when the Jiva is happy, Prabhu, then Paramatma is happy, right?
Jivatma is happy. Material happiness also he doesn't know. Only bhakti can touch him. Only bhakti can touch him, because bhakti is his swarupa. That is his swarupa property, is a function of his swarupa Shakti. So that's why only bhakti. If you just pray to you got the material pain, then after that, out of the mercy, out of this pain, you got some humility in you. That means now I am able to do. I am not the controller, and I am just now suffering, and I cannot come out myself from this pain. So with that humility, if we just pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, you protect me. Then immediately he will come. Because your prayer is going to touch him, not your material pain. If material pain is touching to him, then he has to deliver everyone. Then there is no Jivatma should be in the hell. And there is no Jivatma should be in material world. Material world, no one should be there actually.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. This Jivatma is the enjoyer, Jivatma is the knower, and Jivatma is the doer. These things we will be studying in detail in the Paramatma Sandarbha. Okay. Okay, Prabhu. Ashray Gauram, Prabhu. Jaldi, quickly, you can ask, Prabhu.
Yes, quickly, Prabhu. This last Anuched, there is some words were there, like I am Tritiya Starka, I am Chaturtha Starka. So just I want to know if you can just recap, review us what is first argument, second argument, third and fourth, if you can.
That is coming in the next Anucheda.
4 arguments.
Yes, Prabhu.
And these arguments against what that also?
4. Now we'll see that. Taduktam Anvaya Vyatirekakyasterkaha Syat Chaturatmakaha Agama Paye Tadavadi Bedena Pratamo Mataha Drashta Drishya Vibhagena Tritiyopi Matastata Sakshi Shaksha Vibhagena Tritiya Sammata Satam Dukhi Premaspadattvena Chaturdaha Sukhabodakaha. So Taduktam, finally Jiva Goswami is summarizing the whole discussion. 2 slokas we took. 11th canto, 12th chapter. Sorry, what is that chapter number? 11th chapter, 3rd chapter, 11th canto, 3rd chapter, 38 and 39. Both 2 slokas we took, and in these 4 tarkas we give. 4 tarkas, 4 logics. And these 4 logics are back to back. That means Anvaya Vyatireka. Anvaya Vyatireka, you know, all of you. I explained Anvaya. Tarka Vidya Anvaya Vyatireka means, which is both ways correct. That means like yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vanni. This is Anvaya. That means this cause and effect. What is that effect? Dhuma is the effect. Cause is what? Agni. So cause and effect, they have Anvaya relation. That means yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vanni. And Vyatireka is what? Yatra yatra vahinya bhavaha tatra tatra dhuma bhavaha. So this is the Vyatireka. So these 2 things, cause is fire, effect is smoke. In these 2 things, Anvaya and Vyatireka both are possible. So then only we can say it can be used as a tarka. So if any causal relation, if you want to use as a tarka, you have to satisfy that relation, has to satisfy Anvaya and Vyatireka. So that means yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vahini is also should be possible. And yatra yatra vahinya bhava tatra tatra dhuma bhava should be possible. So this I am not going much detail now, because it is a further chapters of the Tarka Sangraha. And this is also a big topic. It itself is a big topic. Just I am giving the just basic idea. So what is that basic idea? If you want to use any causal relation as a logic to establish something, so that means then what you have to do? You have to see that relation has to follow Anvaya. That means, example is, if you take the causal relation smoke and the fire, so then it is Anvaya should be possible. Means yatra yatra dhuma tatra vahini, that should be, that Vapti should be possible. And also yatra yatra vahinya bhava tatra tatra dhuma bhava. So that also should be possible. So like that, here we are having the 4 tarkas which are fit with the Anvaya and Vyatireka. Those 4 tarkas were Agama Payi Tadavadi Bedena Pratamo Mataha Drashta Drishya Vibhagena Tritiyopi Matah Tata Sakshi Saksha Vibhagena Tritiyo Smata Sammata Syat. First one kya? Agama Payi Tad Avadi Bedena Prathama Mataha. So we saw in the 38th sloka what? This Jivatma is the observer of the body. Body is, that means childhood body, youthful body, and the old age body. Like this, body is keep on changing, and the observer always should be different from this. So since Jivatma there it is said as the observer, so that is establishing that being an observer, Jivatma is being the seer. So being a seer, so definitely it should be different from this scene. So that's why it is not having any changes, and it is unchangeable thing. Jivatma is not having any changes, and body is having the changes. This difference, so is establishing. That means Jivatma is not having the changes, body is having the changes. So this difference is establishing, or this thing is establishing the difference between the, this thing is establishing the difference between the Jivatma and the body. That is the first one. Agama pai. What is that agama pai? That means comes and goes. So in where? In where? So the possessor of the comes and goes. Who is that? That is the body. Body is having the changes. Agama pai means changes. So body is having changes. Tad avadhi. Tad avadhi means those changes are not there. In where? That is in the Atma. So that's why Atma is different from the body. That is the first one, already we discussed. Next is drashtu drishya vibhagena dvitiyopi mataha. So what is the second difference? So Atma is the drashta, is the seer, and this body is seen. So changeable body is seen, body is seen. So that's why in this way that difference is, second difference is establishing, second logic establishing the difference between the Atma and the body. Third one is Sakshi Saksha Vibhagena. So in the Sushupti we understood body is a witnesser, an entire thing, mind, soul, mind, false ego, mind, senses, all are observed. Actually, they are all seen, they are all witnessed, they are all witnessed. So that's why it is a Tritiya Tarkaha. And fourth one is, fourth Tarka is establishing difference between the Atma and the Paramatma. Atma is coming in contact with this false ego and others. That's why it is getting the pain. And but Paramatma is not getting any connection with this, and that's why it is always in the blissful state. So this Tarka, this difference is establishing difference between the soul and the Paramatma. So this ends the studying of the Jivatma. We studied Jivatma very nicely, and we understood this Jivatma is different from the body. Definitely, it is different from the body. That we understood. So now next, evam bhutanam jivanam chinmatram yat swarupam. So tayaiva krutya tadam shitvena cha tad bhinnam yat tattvam tadatra vachyam yate vyashti nirdesha dwara proktam. Please try to follow the book. Any book will take. The BBT book is best. So follow that. So here what is saying is that evam bhutanam jivanam is prakar. In this way, all these jivatmas are what? Chinmatra yat swarupam. Their form is Chinmatra swarupam. There are no changes in that Chinmatra swarupam. Jivatma is purely consciousness. Jivatma is purely consciousness, and tayaiva akrutya tad amshatvena cha. It is the jati of the Jivatma and the Paramatma is the same. The jati means, jati. All manushas are one jati. Jati means the common notation of all. So jati of the, because in what sense you can say Jivatma and the Paramatma belong to one jati? So because Jivatma is also having the consciousness, it itself is a consciousness, and also it makes others be conscious. Like that means when Jivatma's consciousness enters into this jada material, that means inert material, they also looks like conscious. That means now if any ant bites this hand, immediately we'll get the pain. So that means we are seeing living symptoms because consciousness of the Jivatma is spreading entire the body. So that's why there is a living symptoms in this body. That's why this body is growing, and that's why this body is also having the response. So that means Jivatma is itself is Chetana, and also it make others to be conscious, or otherwise it is bringing the Chetana in others. So that's why In the same way, Jivatma is, this is the property of Jivatma. The same way Paramatma is also, is itself is Chetana, and also it brings the Chetana and other things. So this is the commonality is there between this Jivatma and Paramatma. That's how we are saying Jivatma and Paramatma is belong to the one jati. And also Jivatma is part and parcel of the Paramatma. So in these two reasons, because belonging to the same jati and the Jivatma, the Paramatma is being the is a sum, is a amshi of the Jivatma. So that's why we are saying Jivatma, Paramatma is not entirely different from the Jivatma, or otherwise Jivatma is not entirely different from the Paramatma. So this kind of conclusion we can get. We can get this kind of conclusion, and from this we can understand the Paramatma. Ultimately, why we are studying the Jivatma? We are studying Jivatma to understand the Paramatma only. So what we understood from the Jivatma study? So we understood that Jivatma is a Chetana, and also it brings the Chaitanyam in other objects. So that's why this is the one property we are seeing in the Jivatma. So that should be that is not there in the material world, but that should be, that kind of property can be in the Paramatma. So that's why you can understand from this. So from this experience, you can understand what nature of the Paramatma. And also Jivatma is limited. Keshagra Satabhaga Siddhakalpitasya. And then who is the total sum? The total sum is the Paramatma. So in this way, Paramatma and Jivatma is having the similarity, and Paramatma is not different from the Jivatma, and that kind of Paramatma, which is not different from this kind of Jivatma, is the our subject matter, which is we are going to discuss in this Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why Vedavyas is saying Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu Shivadam. He is saying the Vastavam Vastu he wants to describe in this book. That Vastu is said by the Sutta Goswami as Tattvam. And that Tattvam we are understanding here now from the Jivatma as what? It is also Chetana. And also it brings the Chetana in others. And it is the Amshi of this Jivatma. And that kind of that means that kind of Tattvam we are going to study. That means by studying the individual character of the Jivatma, so we understood the Paramatma Vesti Nirdesha Dwara Proktam. So by studying individual element means that is Jivatma. So we are understanding the Paramatma. So Tadeva hi Ashraya Sangyakam. So this is also known as, this kind of Paramatma is known as what? Ashraya Sangyakam. That means it is having the notation of Ashraya. Another name of Paramatma is known as is what? Ashraya. And that that means Paramatma is the Ashraya that we are going to see in the that means Paramatma is Ashraya that is established by the Lakshanas. Mahapurana Lakshanaihi Sargadibhi Arthaihi Samishti Nirdesha Dwara Api Lakshyate. So that means now we are going to see next step. This Paramatma is the Ashraya, is the Ashray Tattva. It is the Ashraya. So that we are going to see. That we are going to see how Ashraya means what? It should be the shelter for everything. So it should be the shelter for everything. So that we will understand. So why we are saying Tattvam as Ashraya? Because it is a shelter for everything. That how you can understand? When you study the sum total, then you'll understand that Tattvam is only the Ashraya. What is the point here? We want to establish now what Ashraya is. Paramatattvam is Ashraya, is a shelter for everything. That we are going to establish. To establish that, what you need to study the sum total. To study sum total, what we will use? We'll be using these 10 Lakshanas. These 10 Lakshanas of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are going to use the 10 Lakshanas of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, we are going to see the meanings of the 10 Lakshanas of the Srimad Bhagavatam to establish Tattvam as Ashraya. So that means we are going to study the the some padartha. Now individual padartha we understood. Jivatma is the individual, and now we are going to study the some padartha, total padartha. So some total padartha that we are going to study. So by studying that, what we are going to establish? We are going to establish tattvam is ashraya tattvam ashraya. So how we are going to study? By the meanings of the 10 lakshanas of the Mahapurana. So that's why ityatra ahadvabhyam atra sargo visargascha sthanam bhoshanamotaya manvantaresha anugata nirodho muktirasrayah dashamasya vishuddhyartham navanamiha dakshanam varnayanti mahatmanah sutena ardena cha anjasa. I will go little speed actually because I have to reach my target. So just 2 minutes. Who is going to ask? Akshay Hari, what do you want to ask quickly?
Oh, later I'll ask for. Not required.
Okay, thank you. You can put down your hand, otherwise you'll get pain in your hand. Next. Pitambar Chaitanya Prabhu. Okay, he also put down. Very good.
Should I ask
Prabhu?
now or later?
What do you is an emergency? You can ask.
Oh, I'll ask later because this is what connection is going ahead. What I am to ask now before some text like that.
What is it?
As you said, Atma Chin Mat Satta, and Atma gets bliss when just deep sleep case, when his mind and senses are disconnected with Atma, can one kind of happiness. Prabhu, I wanted to know, as we say, Atma is a part and parcel of Krishna, and Atma is Sachidananda. When we serve the Lord, then he gets happiness. When does not serve the Lord, still he gets happiness, bliss.
It can get the bliss by experiencing itself.
What kind of bliss? Because
Atmaram means the one who is dwelling in the self. That means in himself. That means he is disconnecting himself, like how what happens in Sushupti. In the same way, so he is making all the system non-reactive. What system? The false ego mind. Mind means is antakarana. So there the vrittis are formed, and those vrittis are he is experienced by the jivatma. So now this jnanis, what they do? They will make such a way their heart will become such no changes in their heart. If they see the beautiful, that means some item, that means some flower, they don't get any kind of, that means, oh, this is a beautiful flower. No, they don't want to see any visheshnas in that, any special characteristics of that object. So they don't see any characteristics of that object. So like this, that means what? Their heart will become completely is non-reactive for the external objects. So in this way, they are always dwelling. That means nothing is coming from the outside. So they are always dwelling in the inside the, even nothing is coming outside, and also internally also he doesn't have any previous, that means any from the, like in the dreaming state, whatever the impressions are, the previous impressions from these dreams are formed. And sometimes even we may close eyes, ears, everything, but mind can create its own the world and it can make well. Even they will be purifying their mind. So with the all those which are the previous impressions are, those are also they are purifying, and they are making their mind is non-reactive to the anything, and just completely is not forming any vritti. So such a way they make their mind or their heart, we can say heart also, so that in that state what is happening, he will be enjoying himself. That is known as Atmaram.
Prabhuji, this is like a zero stage, we can say, minus, zero, and positive. So neutral stage, we can say. So what kind of bliss? Bliss means some like variety. Ananda means just like a reservoir of all pleasure. Ananda, Atma is a reservoir.
When Atma is enjoying itself, then it is not enjoying any variegatedness. So, but Atma is connecting itself with the Lord, then it will enjoy the varieties of the pleasure.
Okay. Chinmatra Satta means that kind of also Anand only, bliss only. Yeah, Chinmatra
Satta is also bliss. What do you think? It is also bliss. Otherwise, Atma is not Sachidananda Vigraha.
As you said, now satta means existence. Just I exist, nothing else. Like only satta means sat chit means no, there's no ananda only. Sat and chit is there.
Why not?
Ananda.
Sat chit means sat matram, chin matram, ananda matram.
So ananda matram is not added, na? Anand sat chit ananda means
matram also is there. Are sat, whatever is sat, that is chit. Whatever chit is there, that is only ananda.
oh, because
That is
Brahmavadi
limited. That is limited, minute.
Okay.
Sat is equal to chit, chit is equal to ananda.
Okay.
अत्र सर्गो विसर्गश्च स्थानं पोषणमोतया मन्वन्तरेशानुगता निरोधो मुक्तिराशय दशमस्य विशुद्ध्यर्थं नवानामिह लक्षणं वर्णयन्ति महात्मनः सुतेन अर्थेन च अंजसा. What is the meaning of this? अत्र सर्गा, how many are there? 10 are there. सर्गा विसर्गा स्थानं पोषणं मोतयः मन्वन्तरा ईशानुगता निरोध mukti ashaya. There are 10 items. You all know the meaning of this. Sarga means primary creation, visarga secondary creation, sthanam means the maintenance, and poshanam means is giving mercy to the devotees. Is a protecting the devotees. Is a poshanam. Next, otaya means the karma vasana. And sixth one is manvantarani. That means the manus who are coming in the manvantara and their stories. Manvantara stories. And Ishanukata, every Manvantara, Lord is also appearing various avatars. That means in every Manvantara there are 6 items. What are those 6 items? First is the Manu, next is Manuputras, third one is the Indra, fourth one is the various demigods, fifth one is the Rishis, sixth one is Avatara, Vishnu Avatara. There are the 6 items. Actually in this what? So this in the Manu, Manvantara Ishanukata means the stories of the Manu and the in that Manvantara whoever the devotees are there, their stories. So Manvantara Kataha, next Isha Kataha. Isha Kataha means and also the stories of the Avatara in that Manvantara. Isha Kataha, Nirodha. Nirodha means the devastation. Mukti means so Jivatma is getting free from the Upadhi, is known as Mukti. And Ashraya Tattva means that we are going to establish, that is Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. So these are like this 10 items are there. So Dashamasya Vishuddhyartham. So why we are studying 10? Actually, we are interested in only the one, that is Ashraya Tattva. What is the need of studying the remaining 9? Just we are studying the remaining 9 for the sake of studying or understanding the 10th one. Like we are studying the Jivatma. Why? To understand Paramatma. Similarly, these 10 out of 10 Lakshanas, we are studying the 10. Why? Just to understand the 10th one. 9 we are studying. That's it. Dasamasya Vishuddhartam Navanamiha Lakshanam. To understand the 9, to understand the 10th one, we are studying about the other remaining 9. Varna Yanti Mahatmanaha Sutena Arthena Cha Anjasa. So also we are seeing these Mahatmas. That means great sages. What they say, they are also described the same way about the Ashraya Tattva. They also describe Ashraya Tattva only. Srutena means with the direct speech, or otherwise Arthena means even they narrate the story, and the story's purport is also Ashraya Tattva. So this way, so these 2 slokas are saying next, Manvantarani cha Ishanukatascha Manvantareshanukataha. So how to break the compound word Manvantareshanukataha? Manvantarani cha Ishakatascha Manvantareshanukataha. So it is 2 things you should take. Manvantareshanukataha, Manvantarani, and also Ishakataha. So atra sargadaya dasharthaha lakshante ityarthaha. Tatra cha dashamasya vishuddhyartham gnana tattva gnanartham navanam lakshanam swarupam varnayanti. So in this, these 10 lakshanas are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the total Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 lakshanas are described. So in that tatra cha dashamasya vishuddhyartham tattva gnanartham, for the sake of 10th one, that means 10th one is all the tattvam. 10th one is only the tattvam. So for that sake, navanam lakshanam swarupam varnayanti. So that's why remaining 9 things are their definitions are said. Navanam lakshanam, that means swarupam varnayanti. They are also described the remaining 9 things. That means in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will be studying about the Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Votaya, Manvantara, Yesha, Kataha, Nirodha, Mukti, all these topics you study. What is the need of studying all this? Just you study, just to understand the final one, the Tattvam. Many times we study in the second canto, third canto, many times the Srishti is coming, creation. Why we study this creation? It is also for the sake of why we study, why we, the sages, we have the narrators, the speakers, Maitreya. Maitreya is describing again and again this Maitreya and also Brahmaji. So they are also describing about this Sarga. Why they do? Why they are describing this Sarga? What is the intention behind? The intention behind is they want us to understand Ashraya Tattvam. That is Ashraya, that means Tattvam, that is Param Tattvam. Nanu atra na evam pratiyate. Abhi Purva Pakshi, now Purva Pakshi is saying that how I can say these 9 things, how they can describe the 10th one. I don't believe this. So like this, Nanu atra na evam martena. So that means I don't think this is the correct thing. So like this Purva Pakshi said, now we are saying, you see, even the what is the answer for this? Mahatmanaha. Mahatmanaha means the great sages like Maitreya and the great sages like the Vidura and Brahma, Narada, Chatushkumar. So like this, these are all these sages. What they did, they all described about what? 10th one only, 10th tattvam only. That means sometimes they are directly glorifying in the stutis. That's why it is said Srutena means, Srutya means Kantokteva. That means with the direct speech. So directly by their speech, Stutyadi Sthaneshu, in the various stutis, these sages, Anjasa means directly describing about Ashray Tattvam. What Purva Pakshi asked, how can you say these 9 things are there for the 10th one only? Then what we are answering for this? We are saying that all the sages, they always described about the 10th one only by their direct speech in the stutis, or otherwise by narrating the stories. So even they narrate the story, Narada or anyone, they narrate so many stories. Narada Muni also narrated so many stories in the 7th canto, and the various other sages, the Maitreya also narrated so many stories. What is behind this? All this behind this is they definitely want to describe about the Ashray Tattvam. That's why Tatparya Vrutya Cha Tattadakhyaneshu. That means in all those in the narrations, the Tatparya is, through the Tatparya also they described Hari only, Ashray Tattvam only. Tam evam dashamam vispashtayatum tesham dashanam yatpadikam saptaslokim maha. So now what is happening in the 2nd canto, 10th chapter? In the 2nd canto, 10th chapter, now we are going to study about the definitions of these 10 lakshanas. So what is the purpose? Even we know the definition of these 10 just to know about the 10th one only. So ultimately we want to know 10th one only. So that is why it is said the definitions of these 10 are like this. Bhutamatrendriyadiyam janma sarga udahurtaha brahmano gunavaishamya visargaha paurusha smritaha. So this is the first statement, first sloka. There are 7 slokas are there to describe these 10 tattvas. Why we are describing these 10 tattvas? Just to define the 10th one nicely. That means to clearly explain about the 10th one, we are giving the basic meanings of these 10 lakshanas. So what is the first one? First one is what? Sarga. So what did it mean by sarga? Bhutendriya dhyam janma sarga udahurtaha. The production of the bhuta matra indriya. That means bhuta means 5 gross elements, matra means so panch tanmatras, indriya means 10 senses, diya means mind, all this production of all this, that means 23 elements are produced. This is known as production of the 23 elements from the Prakriti is known as Janma, that is Sarga. This is the Sarga. This is coming from where? Brahmanaha. That means this Prakriti is ultimately is coming from the Karnano Sai Vishnu only. Brahmanaha means here you should take, but that means Bhagavan. So it is coming from the Bhagavan. Guna Vaishamya. So these 23 elements are created because of what? Because of the changes in the three modes. In the when the Prakriti came out from the Garbhodaka Karnano Sai Vishnu, at that time Prakriti is in the balance. These three gunas are in the balance. But when the Lord put the Drishtipata on that, that means when he glanced on that, then there is a changes in the gunas. Then that caused the that is cause for the production of the 23 elements. That's why production of the 23 elements is known as Sarga. So Visargaha, Paurushaha, Smritaha. What is the meaning of Visargaha? Visargaha means production of the creation of the Purusha. Paurushaha. Purusha is what you should take here. Purusha means Virajaha Purusha, that is Brahma. Brahma, you should take Brahma. So Paurushaha means the creation by the Brahmaji. That is Paurushaha. Paurushaha, that means Tat Krutaha. Purushena Krutaha, Paurushaha. Purusha is what? Brahmaji. So Krutaha means the one done. So the one which is done by the Brahmaji is known as Visargaha. So okay, the word to word meanings are glossed here. Word to words are glossed. Bhutani means khadini. Kha means akasha. That means 5 gross elements. Matrani means pancha tanmatras. That is the already I said. That is the so sound, touch, form, smell. Sorry, taste and smell. Indriyani means all this 10, and dhi means Mahad and Ahankara. Actually, dhi means, sorry, I said dhi means mind, but dhi means you should take Mahat and Ahankara. So what is remaining is then, so Mahat and Ahankara, that you should take from the dhi. So Gunanam Vaishamyat means changes in the gunas. Brahmanaha means Parameshwarat, Kartrubhutadina. Parameshwara. Brahmana means from the Parameshwara. That means Sarga is coming from where? From the Karnano Sai Vishnu, from the Lord. Next, Kartrubhutadinam Janma Sargaha. So this production of these 23 elements is known as Sargaha, Purushaha, Vairajaha, Brahma, Tatkrutaha, Paurushaha. Already I said this. So the creation done by the Brahma is known as Visarga. Charachara Sargo Visargaha. Otherwise, Visarga means Charachara. The 20, that is the 12, 14 planets are made. So then after filling that planets with the different living entities, is done by whom? Is done by the Brahmaji. That is known as Visarga. So filling the planets with the different species is known as Visarga. So that is done by the Brahmaji. Next, Stitir Vaikunta Vijaya Paurusham Stitir Vaikunta Vijaya Poshanam Tadanugraha Manvantarani Saddharma Vutaya Karma Vasana Avatara Anucharitam Hareschasyan Varnitanam Punsami Shakata Proktanana Kyanopa Brahmita. So this is the next 2 slokas. What it means? So in these 2 slokas, we are going to see the meaning of this Titi and also Poshana, Manvantarani, and Otaya. That one by one. Anyway, we are seeing the glossing, then you'll understand. So what is Titi? Vaikuntasya Bhagavataha Vijayaha. The victory of the Vishnu is known as Titihi. What is the Stitihi? Vaikuntasya Vijayaha. Victory of the Vishnu is known as Stitihi. What it mean? What it mean? That means Srushtanam Tattan Maryada Palanotkarshaha. So whatever are created, so they are all following the respective dharmas. Is known as is the success of the Vishnu. What is the meaning of success of the Vishnu? Means whatever are created by in this creation, that's by the Sarga and Visarga, many objects are created. If they follow their respective properties, then that is known as Titihi. That means, for example, if I give one example, water is there. Water is created in the Sarga. So that means water property is what? Quenching the thirst of any person. So this is the property. So now if water is following that property, then it is Titi. That means whatever, for what purpose or in the what state these are all created, in what dharmas they are all having, these objects, if they all follow and maintain that dharma, they maintain that quality, then that is known as that is known as victory of the Vishnu, and that is known as Sthitihi. That is also one more, that is Sthitihi means Sthanam. In the sloka we are seeing the Sthanam, Atra Sargo Visargascha Sthanam Poshanamotaya. Here we are seeing the Sthanam. Sthanam means Sthitihi. Next what? Tataha Sthiteshu Swabhakteshu Tasya Anugraha Poshanam. What is the meaning of Poshanam? Sthiteshu, in the sthiti, that means in the maintenance time. So Lord is giving the mercy to his devotees. That is known as Poshanam. So that's why Lord come to this material world just to protect his devotees, not the just, he is not coming with the main cause is not the destroying the bad elements. No, that is not the main cause. The main cause is protecting his devotees, the main cause. And his purpose of coming here is not the any material thing. That means the killing of any asuras, that is not his main duty. That is obviously it will happen. Next, Manvantarani. Manvantarani means Tattana Manvantarasthitanam Manvadinam Tadanugruhitanam Satam Charitani. Manvantarani means the stories of the Manus is known as Manvantarani. The Manus who are staying in that Manvantara, the stories are the history of the Manus who are in that Manvantara are known as Manvantarani here. And also Tadanugrihitanam, that the devotees, the past tense of the devotees is also known as here Manvantarani. So next, Tanyeva Dharmaha Tad Upanakyaha Sad Dharmaha. So now, what is Dharma then? So whatever is exhibited by these Manus and these great devotees, and whatever their Upasanakya, that means they Tad Upasanakyaha Tanyeva Dharmaha Tad Upasanakyaha. So whatever their character is there, that is the Dharma actually. Or whatever they did, that is the, whatever they followed, that is the Dharma. So Tad Upasanakyaha Saddharmaha Tatreva Stito Nana Karma Vasana Utayaha. So then Utayaha is what? The Karma Vasana. That means the material desires is known as Utayaha. So in the maintenance time, so these Jivatmas are, and these Jivas are having the various desires. Those are known as Utayaha. That means material desires. Stito Eva Harehe Harehe Avataranucharitam Asya Anuvartiram Cha Kataha Ishanu Kataha Proktaha Ityardaha. So in the Sthiti only, so Harehe Avataranucharitam Asya Anuvartitanam Cha Kataha. Ishanu Kataha means in the sloka, that the 10 Ishan Kataha is there. Ishan Kataha means what you should take? The pastimes of the Hari. And also whoever is following the Parshadas, the pastimes of the Parshadas are known as Ishanu Kataha. Next, Nirodosya Anushayanam Atmana Sa Shaktibi Muktir Hitvan Yatha Rupam Surupena Vyavastitihi Stityantaram Chatmano Jevasya Shaktibi Sopadibhi Sahasya Hariranu Shayanam Harishayananu Shayanam Nirodha Ityartha. What is the meaning of Nirodha? Nirodha means after this Sthiti, first what? Sarga, Visarga, after that Sthiti, then after that what? Next is the Nirodha. Nirodha means Pralaya, that's a winding up. So in the winding up, what happens? Jivasya Shaktibhi Sopadibhi Saha Asya Harohe Hare Anushayanam. Jivatma along with its karma. Jivatma along with its karma. Here what? Upadibhi means you should take karma. Jivatma along with its karma, it is going to sleep along with, it is going to sleep in the body of Karananal Sai Vishnu. So this is known as Nirodha. That means following the sleep of the Hari is known as Nirodha. Hari is sleeping and also Jivatma is also going and entering into his body along with his karma, and it is also sleeping. So this is known as Nirodha. Tatra Harehe Shayanam Prapancham Prati Drushti Nimilanam. So what it mean of the Hari is sleeping? That means when Hari is just closing his eyes. So then what? Entire creation, all the Brahmandas, they go and enter into their root forms, into their causal causes, and finally all the Jivas are entering into the body of the Hari. When he opens everything comes out. When he closes, everything go inside. So like this, Hari is closing his eyes is nothing but the sleep of the Hari here. So at that time, all jivas also enter into his body, and they also take into the rest. They are in the karma. They along with their karma. So when he opens, all jivas are coming out along with its karma, and so they have started having the body and doing the various other karmas. Jivanam shayanam tatra layiti gneyam. That means jivas are sleeping, means jivas are going and entering into the body of the Hari is known as here shayanam. Next to tatreva nirodhe anyatha rupam avidyadhyastam nirodhe anyatha rupam avidyadhyasta avidyadhyastam agnatvadikam hitva swarupena vyavastitihi mukti. What is mukti? Mukti means, so jivatma is coming out. Nirodhe anyatha rupam. So mukti is not different from the mukti is different from the nirodha. And in the mukti, what happens? Avidya adhyastam agnatvadikam astam adhyastam agnatvadikam hitva swarupena vyavastiti. Jivatma is leaving the agnana and it is existing its own swarupa. It is known as mukti. That means leaving the agnana, completely agnana, avidya. That is known as muktihi. That means Jivatma is coming out from the stula sukshma. It is becoming aloof from his stula and sukshma bodies. So that is known as muktihi. Abhasascha nirodascha yato astyadyavasi adhyavasiyate sa ashraya param brahma paramatmeti shabdyate. So next, finally, so abhasah srishtihi nirodha layascha yato bhavati adhyavasiyate labhyate. Final tattvam is remaining, that is ashraya. What is ashraya? From whom srishti is coming and from whom laya is coming. That is ashraya. So that means who is a shelter for the creation and the destruction, and he is the ashrayaha. Srishti laya yatah bhavati. From whom creation and from whom, so laya means devastation happens. So that is ashrayaha. Or otherwise jivanam gnanendriyeshu prakashate cha. So the one who is the one who is illuminating, the senses of the jivatma is known as ashraya. That is Brahman. That means Brahman is illuminating the senses of all the jivas. Means that's why it is said Brahman is what? Chakshoho chakshuhu, srotrasya srotram, so jihvasya jihva. That means Paramatma, that's why is known as what? He is the eye to the eyes, he is the ears to the ear, he is the nose to the nose, he is the tongue to the tongue. This means what? Jivatma is only illuminating all the senses of the Jiva. So, sorry, Supreme Lord, Paramatma, Brahman is Ashraya Tattva, that is illuminating all the senses of the Jivatma. So that's why Sa Brahmeti Paramatmeti Prasiddhi Ashraya Katyate. That means the one which is shelter for the creation and the devastation, or otherwise the one which is illuminating the senses of the Jivas is known as Ashraya Tattva. Iti Shabda Prakarartha. In this sloka you are seeing Sa Ashraya Param Brahma Paramatma iti Shabdate. It is said Brahma and Paramatma. You can take that Ashraya Tattva is only Brahma Paramatma, and that Ashraya Tattva is only Bhagavan also, because here iti means type you should take. That means iti means this Ashraya Tattva is Brahma, this Ashraya Tattva is Paramatma is said. Then obviously you will take this Ashraya Tattva is Bhagavan also. Bhagavan idicha asya vivrutte agre videya. So it will be explained in the future. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Good.
So that is my target. I reached. 1 minute is there. Questions. Any questions? You got or not? This chapter is very easy. It's just basic definitions. 10 tattva, 10 lakshanas we are studying. to understand the Ashraya Tattva. That's the thing only. Yes, Ashraya Prabhu. Unmute it, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I just coming back to the same topic. There were four tarkas, four argument Jiva Goswami established.
Yeah.
First, he says Agamapai.
Yes.
So Agamapai.
Changing and unchanging. That means.
That we said the childhood world is that is Agamapai. Second was
changing
Drishti.
one, unchanging one. That is
Drishti,
the one logic to establish a difference between the Atma and the body.
Yeah, that is clear. Second is Drishti and Drashta.
Seer and the seen.
And third one is Sakshi and Saksha.
Witnesser and witness.
So, what is the example of this first one and second? Drishti Drashta example and Sakshi Saksha.
So, what is the difference between these two if you want to know? So, in the case of the Drishti, in the case of the Drashta and the Drishya. Drashta, Drishya. That na?
So, Drashta and Saksha. And last is Dukha.
So, see, Prabhu, Drashta and Drishya, we took this logic from the first sloka. That means Na Atma Jajana. In that, what we are seeing, or how we are explaining, you see, in that, we are saying that body is changing, and Atma is Savanamit. We said there, Atma as Savanamit. So that means he is the observer of the time. So there, we brought the difference between the body and remaining thing. There we didn't bring out the complete proper difference. Proper difference means, so Atma is not completely isolated. So one may think Atma means at the time, so one may think the subtle body also. Subtle body also he may think Atma. Because that Drashta and Drishya, there we are explaining how we are explaining Drashta and Drishya. Drishya is the changing thing. That is what? That is a physical body. But what about the subtle body? There we didn't say anything. So we said remaining everything as Drashta, is as a seer. So, but that difference even further brought out in the case of in the second sloka when you took, then the Shushupti when you went, then we clearly showed even this inside thing. So that subtle body is also separated from the Atma. And purely there we showed the Sakshi. This difference is there. First Drashta and Drishya and Sakshi and Saksha, this difference we brought. Understood, Prabhu?
So are there four different examples for this?
No examples. This is only this is working in the case of Atma only. Atma and body.
We got two examples.
Logics actually. After studying the Jivatma, so how can you say Jivatma is separate from the body? So to say that these logics are useful.
For two examples we found for four logics.
So these logics are useful to establish Atma, separate from the material body, and also it is different from the Paramatma. This logic, this four tarkas. Tarka means logic. This logic is useful to establish the Jivatma. And he didn't write much actually. Simply this logic, this Pradama Tarka, Diti Tarka, that's all. So he didn't even elaborate anything. So just this kind of difference, this kind of logic is one is changing and another is unchanging. That means Agama Pai Tad Avastha Bhedena Pradama Tarkaha. That much only he said.
No, this is I think this is the conclusion. We already previous 2-3 Anuched.
Whatever we studied in that two slokas, so that is concluded here like this. That means these things, these logics we observed in that two slokas, and from these logics we can clearly show the difference between the Jivatma and the body. Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Anything? Akshay, Prabhu, yes.
Oh, yeah. Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my question is 3 questions, Prabhu. Oh,
Yes.
can you explain the difference between Nirodha and Mukti? How it is different exactly? And another is, what is the difference between Ishanu Katha and Ashray? If we take Ishanu Katha as the Katha of Lord's Avatar and his associates.
Yes.
And third question is, we say the 8th canto is Manvantara. Different mantras, pastimes are there. And but we see the canto 3rd, 4th, 5th also describe the first Manvantara.
Yes. So first one, Mukti and the Nirodha. Nirodha means just winding up this material creation, and it is going, and all the jivas are going and sleeping along with the Hari. This is known as Nirodha. It's a devastation, and that means sleep. Following the sleep of Hari is known as Nirodha. In this, what is happening? Jivatma is not liberated from its karma. So karma is still attached to this. So this is the Nirodha. Mukti, in the case of Mukti, Jivatma is completely free from its karma. So that means it's completely free from the subtle and gross bodies, and also it is free from completely from its karma. So it is now free. It's free bird. So it is known as Mukti. You understood the difference between the Mukti? In the case of Mukti, there is no karma is attached to the Jivatma. But in the case of the Nirodha, karma is attached to the Jivatma. Okay?
Yes, one more thing, in this only, the Nirodha and Mukti. We see in the 11th canto is as a Nirodha, and we see the Krishna's winding up pastime comes, then Uddhav Gita comes, and so where it is Nirodha comes after the Uddhav Gita?
Nirodha, actually, see, Prabhu, what our Acharya's opinion, these 10 items, these 10 lakshanas of this Mahapurana are all pervading actually. They are not particular to any one canto. So this Tarka, this kind of opinions, Jiva Goswami, he refuted actually. You cannot say that first Lakshana is belong to the first canto, or otherwise you are starting maybe from second canto. That is not correct actually. He says this. These topics are there everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. Next, what is another question yours?
Ishanu Katha and Ashray.
Ishanu Katha and Ashray Tattva. Ishanu Katha are describing about the avatars which are taken in the Manvantara. So generally, and Ashray Tattvam is a shelter for even those Ishas, those avatars. That is about the Vasudeva, Devaki Nandan, sorry, Yashoda Nandan. About the Yashoda Nandan, studying about the Yashoda Nandan is the Ashray Tattvam actually, is the original Ashray. That is the main goal actually.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah. And what is another question?
Third is also answered because we are not taking anything to cantos.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Next. Another questions? Okay, done. Thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We'll meet tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll finish.
Monday is off.
Mondays exam is there. Eh? Why you are making?
So I am asking so that one day before only, so that Friday, so that we can communicate.
Saturday holiday.
Yes.
But okay.
But just we study end moment just before the exam. Generally.
Achha, like that. Gokulan Prabhu, you want off on Monday, Tattva Sandarbha?
If I have a question, because I had one. There was a section of the class that I missed because I have an emergency here at the place. That's why. But maybe you addressed the issue. But I was wondering if you can comment, or if you know, in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, one of the vrittis is deep sleep, and is considered abhava, absent, that there is absence of an object. And in our, according to my understanding, in this conception of deep sleep, from the Vedanta Sutra and Tattva Sandarbha, there is not a material object, but the seer is also, it becomes the object also on the one hand. And then the Advaitis, they might say that during deep sleep, the Atma and the Brahman becomes one. They are one, actually. There is no distinction between object and seer, or seeing and seer and seeing. So more than a question is, if you can, is there any way to put this, differentiate the views of, on the one hand, the yoga school on this subject of deep sleep, on the other hand, the Advaita Vedanta school, on the same Brihat Aranyaka text from Yajnavalkya, and then the Vaishnava Gaudiya Siddhanta on this, especially in terms of how many there is object or not object, and the seeing, what is the role of Paramatma and Jiva, and in the other, in construct with the Advaita Vedanta, that is only one, because there is no upadi, there is no subtle body to observe, and there is no gross body.
Yeah. So in the case of the Advaitis, the explanation about the Sushupti is, yeah, definitely it will be very much different. And this is explained, I'm not exactly remembering everything now, but it is explained in the Paramatma Sandara Sarvasamvadini. So he was systematically refuting some arguments of the Advaitis there. If you see the Sarvasamvadini of the Paramatma Sandarbha, so there you can get, Prabhu, some idea on this, how the Advaitins view, and keeping that in the mind, Jiva Goswami is writing the Sarvasamvadini. So that's why if you see the statements, his statements, you can just backshoot. That means you can easily understand what is the view of the Advaitins. That is there. But that you can, that is a place you can search out Sarvasamvadini of that. And but the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, so how they are defining that sutra, I don't know actually. I didn't went through that. So I have to see that. Good, Prabhu. This is, you are going deeply. Nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
I totally forgot that we have an exam next week. So, Prabhu, in my messages, I haven't seen anything like question bank or timing of exam or anything.
No, we don't have exam for the Tattva Sandarbha. We were having exam for the Bhakti Vaibhava actually.
Oh, that's a relief, Prabhu.
Exam we will be having for, I will announce, because till now I didn't give the assignment questions. Maybe I don't give assignment questions this time. Directly I can go for exam also. Question bank already given. So you can prepare for those.
Prabhu, because holidays are coming at your end, if you can give some time for us so that we can nicely study.
Yeah. Last class also I said that I want to give sufficient time in the holidays. One day we can conduct the exam, no problem. So because everyone is staying back here only, even on-site students also. So that's no problem. So we can have the exam with proper gap only, not immediately. So let us finish this another 3 classes, the total thing. Then after that, we'll decide. That means the exam date, and before that, maybe I can suggest some questions also, extra questions from the existing question bank, so that those will be helpful for you to go through the. That means to prepare the exam. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu. One small question, Prabhu. What is the difference between mukti and moksha? You explained mukti, where somebody is in knowledge of
same,
the...
Mukti is equal to moksha.
Both are same, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Mukti is equal to moksha.
Yeah.
Right. So when people don't take birth on earth and they take still birth on material planets, and the people who go back to the abode of Godhead, what are the terminologies for those two kind of?
So going back to the Godhead, so that is also some places it's like contextually it changes. Liberation also they say. So, but what is that? What is that liberation? So then the point will come. Liberation is also many types. like Saijya, Salukya, Samipya, Sarushti. So like this, liberation is also various types. And another on the top of this, there is a going directly to the Goloka and Yadgatva Nanivartante Tadhamam Paramam Mama. That means Mam Upeti. In the Sanskrit, it is said that Upeti. That means they are reaching me. So Krishna is saying they are reaching me also, he says. So that means they are reaching to the Krishna Lok. That is also is said. Various terms, Prabhu. This mukti, sometimes moksha, and sometimes the various meanings they give. Like upaiti.
Okay.
Like
Thank
this.
you, Prabhu. At least
Acharya always gives the explanation. In the now presently we are studying the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhakti Shastri. So there, these Yoga Mishra Bhakti they are doing, and they are going to the. There Krishna is saying they are coming to me, but their Acharya is giving that Salokya Mukti here. So like this, everywhere this is defined. Contextually, we should take. Mukti means you should take contextually. In the Sanskrit, maybe in the simple term, it is mukti, they got mukti. But what is that? Acharya is explaining in that. It is Salokya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Sarushti, Sahaja, like that.
okay, Prabhu. Thank you. And one more thing, Prabhu. Yogi, Muni, and Rishi, Prabhu. What is exactly, so if I tell my understanding, Yogi is one who is in union with the Lord. Muni is one who meditates probably on the Lord. And Rishi is, Prabhu, who kind of goes through the Shastras and experiments, like researcher, scientist, who gets the jnana or knowledge and provides it to the Loka. Is that correct?
Yeah, Rishi is like that. Rishi word, whatever you said. So that is the thing. Rishis, they are always, it doesn't mean that they have to research on the only absolute truth. Even they can do, like Parasara is a Rishi, he is doing research on the agriculture. And Parasara, Krishi Parasara, he wrote. So any subject matter, these Rishis, they can take up. And they establish some science or some facts in that, in their paper. So, and also Muni means who is always meditating or who is always contemplating in his mind. So that is known as Muni. He may contemplate, even Muni also can do anything. Maybe he can contemplate on any particular matter belong to this middle world or otherwise. So that is also belonging about the absolute truth also. That's is possible. Muni means. But the yogi means who is connecting with the absolute truth. Yogi means who is having the connection with the truth. So that can be the Jnana Yogi, Karma Yogi, Ashtanga Yogi, Bhakti Yogi, Sankhya Yogi, like that. Yogis means who connects themselves with the absolute.
And Prabhu, Sadhu, how will you define Sadhu?
Sadhu.
Yeah. Who is Sadhu?
Sadhu means is a good person. Sadhu means good person. But contextually, this also changes meaning. Sadhu means he is a devotee of the Lord. Sadhu Sangha, there we say there is a devotee only, particularly. Sadhu means any pious person is also known as Sadhu. So it is also like Mukti, how the is getting the various special names, and same way Sadhu is also having the various categories. You should see the based upon context.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.